Check, quick sound check. Can everybody hear us loud and clear? What's going on, Coach Paul?
Can hear you loud and clear, Coach Jay. Happy Friday. Doesn't feel like it feels like a Monday again. But
It does feel like Monday. You're right.
So, welcome back at the Buzzers. Interesting day, huh, Coach?
Very interesting day. Very interesting day for sure. 2 days left in the trading year. We got today, we got Monday, and that is it for 2024. Looks like we sound good, look good as well. Can hear us loud and clear. So thank you for the confirmation and thank you for being here. Yeah, Coach, very interesting day. We are going to get into that for sure. Um, but let's see. Let's see. The Santa rally that we've been looking for. Uh, is he going to show up? Our market's
He
going to
showed up
sell off.
yesterday.
He did show up yesterday. Um, Andrew says Santa gave the middle finger to a rally. Yeah, it's interesting close to the year. Oakland Torch says hope you caught your setup. We'll talk about it. I did catch a part of it. Was a good trading day. But let's get into it. Welcome to At the Buzz Hour Market Recap. If this is your first time here, I am Coach Jay. That is Coach Paul. The goal of this segment is to review what happened in the markets for the day. We may talk about some markets that you have not traded before, but we believe our goal as traders is to identify opportunity, see how we could have taken advantage of those opportunities while managing our risk. If this is your first time here, I'm Coach Jay, been a Topstep performance coach since June of 2023 and been trading for the past 12 years and in the futures markets for the past 5, and that is Coach Paul. Coach Paul, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Coach Paul. I've been with Topstep for a little over a year and a half as a performance coach. I have been involved in the futures industry in many different roles, mostly as a trader for the last 25 years. I'm here to share some experiences and some knowledge and hopefully help you become a better trader.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Coach. Let's look at the Trader Hub real quick. I don't believe we had any big news out this morning that would have affected the U.S. markets. We know we did talk about the Tokyo CPI number that we had yesterday, which could have affected the Asian markets. But outside of that, we had crude oil inventories coming out on a Friday because of the weird holiday week. Outside of that, not too much on the numbers. Anything you want to talk about as far as news goes, Coach? Any headlines or anything that was interesting to you today?
Um, Nothing big that I saw. I just the, the interest rates, and we'll talk about that a little later. But no big news that I saw. It's on Bloomberg. They were mentioning that there is a concern and in the supply chain because of the upcoming tariffs. But that's going to be a headline every day for the next 4 years, it looks like. But um, nothing, nothing different.
Nothing different. Shout out to Samson in the chat. Passed my first combine yesterday. I put your opening range VWAP setup to good effect this week. Thanks, Coach Jay and Coach Paul, for sharing your skills and experience. Samson, thank you for sharing that. And shout out to you for taking information and implementing it in your own trading. Trade well in that XFA. Remember, no rush to make profits. Consistency over time should be the goal. But shout out to you for passing your first combine.
Great job, Samson. Keep up the good work.
We got another one here. Just Shima baby will be requesting my first Topstep payout at market close. A long time coming. Grateful for this season of work. Shima, shout out to you. Congratulations. That is the ultimate goal. Pulling money out of the markets and paying yourself, realizing it in your bank account. So shout out to you. Uh, what a great way to end the year, right? Paying yourself from the markets with 2 days left to go in the trading year. So congrats, Shima.
That's awesome news. Good job.
All right. Let's get into the charts. Let's get into the charts. There are about 35 different markets that we can trade with Topstep accounts, not just the equities. And we like to focus on the top percentage movers of the day. Undefeated. Undefeated. We got silver to the downside, 1.44%. The Russell down 1.56%, and platinum, our biggest percentage mover to the downside, down 2.99%. To the upside, we have what do we got? Wheat futures up 1.22%. Heating oil up 1.43%, and nat gas up 2.56% for our biggest percentage mover to the upside. It did it again, Coach.
And what was that, Coach?
Nat gas, nat gas. I'm going to start taking stats next year, all 2025. I'm going to take stats. I got to put together a little spreadsheet, just put together a spreadsheet with these markets and see which ones consistently are in that top percentage mover. And again, nat gas is the goat of being in the top percentage movers for sure.
It's a volatile one. I actually donated some money to the cause today. Tried to get
Did you?
did get long that, yeah. But it's an interesting position. We'll go deeper into that, I think, one day when we review the year and we look for possible opportunities coming in 2025.
2025 sounds crazy to say, right?
Yeah, especially. Wow.
Yeah. Goes by quick. Market Stalker D says nat gas is a good market right now. I agree. I agree. Better than crude. And D, I know crude was your market, but this is what we got to do as traders: is adapt. Is nat gas always going to be this way? Probably not. But for the season that we're in right now, it has been a mover. And Dan, that percentage for nat gas was 2.62% to the upside. Um, and let's get into the charts. I got the NASDAQ chart up right now, Coach. We usually start here. I think today was a very interesting day, right? Very interesting day. We saw a 2% move to the downside in the NASDAQ. We didn't go over the percentage moves for our big four, so I'll do that real quick. We had crude oil up 0.93%. We had everything else was down. We had gold down 0.8%. We had the S&Ps down 1.09%, and we had the NASDAQ down 1.31% for our biggest percentage mover to the downside in our big four. And at one point, the NASDAQ was down 2% today. If you look at last night's open, I'm going to pull up the top step levels real quick, remove some of these drawings. We have a 30-minute chart here, Coach. We are back under that 200 moving average on the 30-minute. The 20 is below that as well. We made the high last night pretty much on settlement. Yesterday's settlement, which was 22,008. That was pretty much the high of the day. I'm going to go to favorite 30-minute opening range in Globex, attach a VWAP to that, and VWAP didn't leave the range until a little bit later, but rejection off of that settlement and just sell off the entire day. Did you trade the equities at all today, Coach?
I did. Made a little bit of money. I was just micros.
Okay.
In retrospect, I should have traded the big one, but
Always.
That's the wisdom of fools. I said I was only going to trade micros, so I did all right. Covered a little early. I'm not bothered by that, but
yeah,
I think it got exacerbated in a thin market. We see these moves, especially yesterday in the morning. Was that yesterday or was that 2 days? These days are running into each other. I don't know. But it's thin. And if there's any kind of volume going to come in, it gets exacerbated. Like you said, there wasn't big headline news.
That's the thing. During fast markets, everyone was wondering, it's like, hey, is there news that caused this move? Why are we selling off so much? And it really just looked like a technical sell-off.
Yeah. It's interesting. It still right around the 50% of the big FOMC move. And it's holding that. And today's high, last night, is the 20-day moving average on the daily. So with moving average, it could definitely be a reflection of the end of the year and things are flattening out. At the end of the day, I don't know, but I'm not surprised. That's still sitting there, that big candle off of FOMC.
We've been talking about, do we retrace the entire move? Do we settle above 50% of it? At some point, we did get above 50%. That was on the holiday day. What the one thing I want to talk about, and really all year, something that we've seen, all of the holiday trades this year have been retraced in pretty short order, right? Where if you look at the 4th of July, you look at Thanksgiving, you look at Christmas, we had some low volume rallies in what were either abbreviated sessions, right, where we had a half day, or we hear the talk of, oh, there isn't going to be a lot of traders out there, but we still get some movement in the markets, right? If you look at uh, Christmas, for example, we had December 24th, we had a really nice rally going back to the 20th, right? This was last Friday. We had a pretty nice rally, and we've been talking about the lower volume. And here's that low volume node for the 24th, which was that half day where we still saw on low volume about a 1.5% move to the downside. Go back and check every holiday that there was this year in the markets. I'm pretty sure we had a rally and immediate sell off once volume starts to come back in. And today was no different. Today was no different. Again, we saw at one point a 2% down move in the NASDAQ. I did catch a piece of this. You guys were talking about, did you catch your trade? Because if we look at
Oops.
now uh, the 33-minute opening range from the New York session open, more urgency. This is when the selling really. I got short at 21,700 and then added a couple as we continued lower, and then was done for the day pretty much at these lows where I was happy to be out, because at this point I had some levels as far as targets go. We have this 21,500 here, which is a major psych level and an area of contention in the market, and that set a range. Right now, range bound traders, we've been saying this for a while. Sometimes letting that initial move, let the initial balance settle. Right, first hour of the markets be done, and then you get your range, and that's exactly what we got today. Right, we got a trend downside in the morning, and then a really nice 140 point range here, maybe a little tighter than that if we call these highs of the range here. But some decent opportunity. I love that VWAP gave us another opportunity to sell here. I know one of the VIPs that I have took this trade where we pushed into this anchored VWAP from the New York session open and sold it right back down to the bottom of the range. Um, but for me, it was quick action, get out, and kind of enjoy the rest of the day. But a ton of opportunity in this. Um, Anything else on the equities, Coach? I can pull up the S&Ps or any of the other markets.
Well, nothing to add. I did take that 3-minute trade with a micro.
Nice.
People, I don't know. It's just easier to trade with a micro.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to hold on to it.
Yep.
Sure, I could have done too, but it was a great trade. There was urgency, and it proved out. I like the way you covered. We were down almost 100 at that point. How many
These
days do we
lows here
fin? Yeah, I think it was down almost 100. It was
in the S&Ps or in the NASDAQ? In the NASDAQ, we were down almost
S&P.
300.
No, any
S&Ps,
S&Ps
let's take a look. S&Ps from the 3-minute opening range. It's almost
or
looking
for the
even better.
day? Yeah,
This almost looks even better than the NASDAQ. Uh,
usually is.
oh yeah, we got that perfect retest. Oh yeah, this is beautiful. What I really like about this with the S&Ps is it gave you an opportunity to get short above that VWAP, right, against the range, which is really nice. And yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it was.
it's the ones we wait for.
Uh, So, but otherwise, I don't have much to add there. It's interesting as we start rolling into the end of the year, but into a new administration. And the word tariff, you're going to hear that ad infinitum. Um, so I have my opinions. I've studied economic history. Um, but as a trader, I have to trade in the present. So I will tell you this, volatility is coming.
Yes, it is. And what does that mean for us as traders? We love volatility, but at the same time, we've talked about it. If we see ATRs increasing, might be the time to size down throughout the year, if that's the case, where you don't need a ton of size to make a lot of money. If volatility increases, ranges expand, we can size down and see some great profits. Shout out to Dan Emmons, said he set up the short in Globex and let it run. It gave you the opportunity. It gave you the opportunity. I don't know what I was doing around this time. In hindsight, Jay would have been getting short with as much size as I felt comfortable with, and then just leaving it on. But really nice trade there. Really nice trade. Let's go over to gold, and then Coach, I want to do the interest rate products. We just talked about uh, yields and things like that. So I do want to go over to whichever one you want. We can do either a 30-year or a 10-year chart. Um,
Okay.
your call. Taking a look at gold here. Gold had a nice rally yesterday. Um, one trade that I was not, I actually took a micro silver short. Um, cut it at 3 o'clock this morning, my time, where I had the trade on, held it for 6 hours. I woke up just randomly, checked the charts. It was exactly where I left it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take this off and go back to sleep. Uh, in hindsight, I don't love that trade decision, but it was just like, really, you didn't move for 6 hours? Okay, I'll just take it off. If it
Was
was
that a
giving me, go
was
ahead,
that a
coach.
bad dream? Was that a bad dream you had?
I wish I just could stay asleep. I need to put on trades and drink some chamomile tea or something like that
Yeah.
to stay asleep because I woke up and took myself out of a great trade. Um, but right before I'll show you the executions later, coach. But I got out pretty much right as it was dropping. Um, but gold, really nice trend to the downside, right? We retraced yesterday's move, a little bit of that holiday move as well that we talked about in the equities. Looks very similar in gold, where we had some lower volume sessions, and then as we see volume ticking up a little bit, we start to retrace some of the move from where we came from. Uh, but a really nice short here in gold. Go ahead, coach.
That was urgency too.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Got going pretty quick. Couple of times we revisited the range, but once we had volume leave that range, we didn't make a new high, which we've been talking about. That's great stop location, right? Make a new high on the day, and I'm okay getting out. But once volume left the range, once we got that confirmation, there was really no reason to take that trade off. Um, I took the trade in silver, and it did look a little bit different, so I'm cool with my exit. But yeah, one that got
Nice.
away.
Yeah, silver's a tricky beast.
Yeah. I did it with the
Been
micros because I didn't want that $25 a tick, but yeah.
yeah, $25 a penny, and it's what's the range? Uh, it's it's too big. Um, but the micros are great. But boy, up and down. What? Which is makes sense. End of the year. So what do we got going here?
This is silver. I'm just going to pull this one up just to show the difference between silver and gold, right? Silver was not as convincing as gold. Um, I think I just liked this setup a little bit better, but I should have just took it in gold. But it is what it is, right? But right around that London session open, we got the sell off in a really nice sell in all of the metals. Really, we had someone was talking about platinum the other day, and platinum, our biggest percentage mover to the downside. Looks like all the metals follow each other, right? Gold is selling off. We have copper, platinum, silver selling off as well. Pick which one you want to trade. isn't the most popular market, which is gold out of all those, but they all presented very similar trades today to the short side. Anything else on the metals, Coach?
Nothing else, but I didn't know platinum really got
Yeah,
punched in the mouth.
yeah, it did.
Um, that's a big. It was $29. That's wow. It's down to 935. Okay, I'm just going to throw this out there as a guy who's been around a long time. When I started in early 1980, let's just say 1980, as a young 18-year-old, so a copper, the gold platinum ratio. Gold was at 800, and that was insane at the time. Platinum was at 950. The fact that it's almost triple the price is stunning. Still stunning to me. But it is what it is. One of them is too cheap, or one of them is too expensive. We'll find out
Something's going
soon.
on.
Yeah,
Something is going on there.
yeah. It is an industrial metal, so it's also used in jewelry. Can impress your girlfriend with a pure platinum ring instead of gold because it's better. It's a better
Because
metal.
it's cheap. Not because it's cheaper, not at all.
Good luck with that. It's always cheap.
Oh man. All right, let's get into the energies. Let's get into the energies. We'll do a quick scan of crude oil. Yep, it's still in the range. Let's go over to nat gas. I got a nat gas chart up here, Coach. You did say you traded nat gas today. Here is last night's open in nat gas. Uh, what were you seeing here in nat gas, Coach?
Well, I didn't trade it last
Okay.
night. It was, you can see it was after that big break yesterday. It did get a false breakout on light volume, but I have at three.
They're saying you got a
Well,
they're saying you got a robot voice here. I don't hear it on
uh-oh.
my side. It sounds pretty clear over here, but let me do one thing here. Give me 1 second. Let's try this. Go ahead. Keep going, Coach.
How about now? Checking 1, 2, 3. Am I
Let's
going to
uh
break
let's
out?
see let's see if it's clearer now.
Am I going to break out into a robot dance? You don't want to
Oh,
see that.
all right, sounds good. We got it. We fixed
All
it.
right. I have my 300-day moving average at 340, 3.400. So I bought it earlier this morning. Had to get out when it closed below the 200. Interestingly, it settled above the daily. And it's just playing around that all week. So it's in an inflection point. Natural gas could explode from here or go right back to where it started from. So I still lost a little bit. I'll take that trade every time. But boy, it had a nice rally. What time did that start? Was that out of Europe when it started?
This one here, this is 12 o'clock your time. So a little bit before Europe, kind of the end of that Asian
Uh,
session. This
that's a,
doesn't look like a market that was up 2% today.
no. It must be. I don't know what maybe D could tell us. But this, we went right back, filled the range, and went back to where we are. That, that's a holiday market. I've never seen it rally like that at that time.
No, neither have I. I mean, if we're doing a quick scan of these charts, just going
When
back,
it's usually,
it's usually into London. Usually into London.
yeah, uh, beat the beat the English to it this time.
D says it
Um,
was a quick move in one big range and then back down. Time of day is odd. Yeah, it's a weird time of day. Really weird time of day.
Overall, Monday, end of the year, we'll probably see the same thing, but it's gaining momentum. It's going to be an interesting first week of the year for natural gas. It's not going to stay in this area. That I'm pretty confident.
Yes. I'm pretty confident that when it does decide to move, it's going to be in our top percentage movers, whichever way it goes, to the upside or the downside. I don't know that there's a more sure bet for what we've seen in these markets recently. And of course, with me saying that, it's going to change. But I mean, it's a market that is moving a ton, and didn't really mean to breeze over crude oil that way, but eh, it's a
But you
tough one to
did.
trade. But I did. Yeah, it's a tough one to trade. Did present some opportunities. If I'm looking at a 30-minute chart, we have the 200 moving average here, which is pretty much a flat
Yeah.
line. We can see we held it as a support and a decent trade back up to the highs of that range. But crude is just
It's interesting. Put on a weekly in crude. I did happen upon that. That's another one that could surprise everybody next year.
here's the weekly in crude.
I mean, look at the ranges are just getting squeezed. Think about it. It's finding balance. All it takes is some unforeseen, which is really what moves the market. Um, I'll tell you what, I'm not giving up on crude by no means, but and that's I have my eye on that. That could just the fact that we're even saying I don't even want to look at it. It could be
That's why it makes
time,
its
but
move.
yeah. But as we've said, look at the year. I think we're almost within $1 of where we started.
Yearly open, yeah, we're pretty close to that. 67.45, we'll call it. We got a question here from Arborist Ribbit. Any advice? I passed 550K accounts. Congrats on passing the
Nice.
accounts. They are now express funded accounts. Working on staying consistent with base hits. First, congrats on passing. Hopefully, the way you pass those accounts, you can sustain that style of trading when you get into your XFAs. But I would say don't focus on the money, right? Don't focus on making money. Focus on your process, and the results are going to follow your process. If you're going to copy trade all five of them, and we're trading for money at the end of the day, uh, maybe that's the one good thing about copy trading is maybe you don't have to shoot for $1,000 days in the account because you're magnifying the results. But remember, you're magnifying the results, so your losses get magnified as well. Um, so trade it like it's one account if you're going to be copy trading them. If you're going to be copy trading them, you may maybe not have to, but make sure we manage that downside, whatever that is, because all results get magnified if you're copying five accounts. What about you, Coach?
I agree with you, Coach. I would also. I don't know how long it took you to get it done, but review what you did. Stay on the same path. Um, but now keeping the account alive is the uh, most imperative action you'll need to take. I would never, I myself will stop trading if the equity drawdown is 12%. For you, I don't know what your risk threshold is, but I certainly wouldn't, and no more than 20%. Um, it's different than the combine. You want to keep that alive. You want to be consistent. Review how you got there. Sometimes we get there by taking more risk than we would if it was our money or if it was an XFA. I'm not saying that is the case, but be aware of that if it is, and keep doing what you're doing, but focus on equity. Go ahead, Coach.
We got a comment here from Arborist Ribbit. The account says if you get $200 profit a day, it is counted. Why is it 200? Those are just the rules. Those are just the rules of the account. They have been that way for a while. But I want to, just clarify something to everyone. The $200 that you need in a day don't have to be consecutive. Um, they can be over time. If you're thinking, hey, I want to, maybe make some smaller profits. Maybe I'm focusing on $50 a day. I talked to some of my VIPs about this, where some of the VIPs I have an account that's in drawdown, but they have 5 winning days of over $200 in the 3 months that they've had that account. Right. So think about it this way. A lot of times what happens is we try to rush to get to five $200 days so we're eligible for payouts, but in that rush we're trading unsustainably, and then we'll probably lose the accounts. Right. If you, in the course of 3 months, 6 months, at some point get five $200 winning days, every $20 day you have counts, every $50 day you have counts, every losing day where you manage your risk and maybe you only lose $100 counts. And then you can stack your days that way. $200 is just that's where the rule is set, but you don't have to shoot for $200 every single day.
Very
And
good
I think
point.
that gets a lot of traders caught, where we have that monetary focus. Just trade. Go ahead, Coach.
I mean, the good advice. I mean, once again, looking at how you got there, review that, be comfortable with that, but be honest with yourself. Did you take extra risks just to pass? Because that will catch up. Just understand that. And by the way, congratulations.
100%. Any other markets that you want to go through, Coach? Oh, interest rates. You were going to say one.
I was going to say bonds, and we're having Bitcoin too.
Bitcoin. All right, I got Bitcoin up, so let's do that now. Go out
Let's
to a
start with the
daily.
daily.
Yep, here we go.
We're still under the 200. Still bullish move. But being challenged. We're spending some time under the 20. It's starting to curl. The 20, it's starting to flatten out. It needs to get going beginning of the year. Technically, next stop 50-day moving average. And let me say that's
50,000.
Yeah, I don't know. It could. If you've been around Bitcoin, that could happen, right?
Definitely could.
Unless you're a hodler and you don't pay attention to the price. I'm a trader. I just have this feeling, was just at 100,000, there was a lot of people who got out. And they haven't been replaced. And if there's any pressure here, this could gain momentum. But right now, if we look at the half hour, as a trader, that's what I look at. I want to buy it. Failed buying all week. So what can we take out of that? There's no buyers looking to buy this cheap. They're short covering, and I would consider that rally there short covering. At the least, bad buying, right? It just has that feeling of the falling knife. I'm starting to turn a little bearish. What about you, Coach?
I'm with you. I'm with you. We can't find buyers above that 100,000. Do they come in at some point later in the year? But they haven't proven that. Um, One thing I like that you really said, Coach, was we there had to be some sellers at that 100,000 level, and whatever time frame you're trading, if I'm long in a market, selling is okay. Selling is going to happen naturally because buyers have to take profits, and in order for them to take profits, they have to sell. But you need to see new buyers coming in for price to continue higher, and that's what we're not seeing, right? Short covering is not enough to get us back above all-time highs without new interest in these markets, and that looks like what we're kind of lacking right now. So I'm with you. Uh, could it be healthy for a pullback? Potentially, but like you said, I'm a trader as well. I'm not going to have a bias. If it moves to the downside and I'm trading it, I'm going to try to short it. If it's moving to the upside and I'm trading it, I'm going to try to buy it. Um,
You know, it's interesting on that. Put a weekly on that. So last week, that was
those are
an
terrible looking
engulfing.
candles.
Yeah, that's a terrible looking candle on that perspective on all-time highs. So that was where I said it needs to be replaced by new buyers, and I don't know where are you going to find new buyers here. Could be.
It's
I
definitely
don't
one
know.
new buyer. His name is Michael Saylor. He's
Yeah,
he's buying it all the time, and we got a comment in the chat that says the Bitcoin situation with Saylor and MicroStrategy is deranged. Yeah, interesting
it is.
strategy. Interesting
Good.
strategy. It's either going to work out really well or it's going to work out really well for whoever's shorting Bitcoin and MicroStrategy. There's no two
Yeah.
ways about that. There's no in between there.
He, he is the definition of a hodler.
100%. And it's been working. It's been working. But I think I saw something about him buying a ton of Bitcoin at 102,000. Um, so there's at least one buyer above 100K.
Arborist ribbit, is that considered a weak high? No, it's a kind of, I would consider a blow off top. What a blow up. So that engulfing candle took out weeks and weeks. And one, two, three, almost a month worth. And most of that happened in one day, I think. Um, so more of a blow off top. That's why I said in a situation like that, you have to, which at the time, it was red hot. There's nothing but buyers and braggarts. I bought it. It's 100,000, but some smart money goes. Here you go. I mean, like now, I'm not saying it is the. By the way, this isn't advice. I'm just reviewing. But from my experience, that's looks like liquidation. You have a blow off top. And what that means, in one film, one last time, is you have to replace that ownership because someone dumped some Bitcoin as a or entities dumped Bitcoin. So for it to keep going, and and it can, but it might. And in a history of Bitcoin, it might take 2 or 3 years. But first, we got to go down 70%. That's why it could. I love Bitcoin's movement. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a hodler. I'm a trader. Um, and I was shocked when I found out what that word meant. I spent a lot of time with some serious crypto guys, and then they told me, "Oh, hold on for dear life." And I looked at them like, "Are you crazy?
I mean,
You have no exit strategy?" For me as a trader, that's just, I mean, takes them
some
off.
point you have to exit, right? At some point you have to exit, and I think that goes for everyone. Or it becomes this kind of game theory thing, or what is it called? Is it the prisoner's dilemma, right? Where we, we continue to get people to buy it. Somebody has to sell. If I had, and maybe you're not selling your entire position, but if I have Bitcoin from 20K and I'm like, this is the new, this is the new gold standard. I'm taking profits. either way, right? I don't think most people are that crazy to see some of the gains that we've seen from Bitcoin. You know, you got a 100% move since July, um, where if you're not taking profits and realizing some of it, I know you can spend Bitcoin, right, as a currency. The world is not there yet, so it's not a surprise to see people take profits when they've seen that kind of return.
And here, one last thing. Once they get to a certain point, there's no more Bitcoin going to be made. I love that. That part
Oh
of
yeah,
it.
no
But
inflation.
we're traders, by the way, and we're day traders here. So it's almost null and void to have the conversation. The opportunity is get a piece of that volatility, to find a place to make money for the day. And I've been saying it, we have been saying it for a while. It's a great place to trade,
Oh yeah,
especially with the size accounts that we have here. If I'm if someone comes to me and says I'm going to start trading futures, what do you suggest I trade? And they've never traded before. I'm going to be straight up with them. Learn trading micro Bitcoin.
I like that, Coach. I like that. Anything else on Bitcoin that we have? And if not, we will move over to the bonds. We can either go 30-year or 10-year, your call.
Um, well, I'll go 30-year.
30-year. What was that? What is this? Oh,
Yeah, but
we drew this a little while ago.
yeah,
Yeah, we drew that a little while
um,
ago.
that was the uptrend long term. I think we did it off a weekly. Either way, that was only about a month ago,
Yeah,
and it's
this was the beginning of December, December 5th.
yeah, that move. It's not everybody that once again. It's not a headline, but interest rates. There was one headline I saw on a deep story. This is the first time ever to have this type of break off a rate cut. I mean, you look at that chart and you tell me if that's bullish or bearish. And this should not. The idea was to cut. And by the way, and the interest rate cut is on short term rates. It's the rate that banks have to pay for money. Not you and I. We don't get that rate. But the fact is that the 30-year bonds you cannot manipulate. The Fed has no really very, very little control, if at all. I mean, they have some influence, but the long-term rates, and it's very interesting coming into this scenario where we're going to have an administration that wants to cut rates for the wealthy and put tariffs on. This bonds don't like that. They just don't. It's not. They don't play games on the long end. Um, so that kind of money needs a bigger rate of return. Bonds are supposed to be the gentleman's game. It's not happening. And I find it very interesting. If we look at it weekly,
Have you seen anything similar to this in the past, Coach?
yeah.
Okay.
There was the famous break in the night. What made interest rate futures is when Paul Volcker came in and raised rates from 5% to 18% in the short term. Was a very famous hedge by IBM in the 30-year that saved IBM. They have rates they locked in rates by selling bond futures when they first started, and saved themselves. And actually, think about it. It was like the famous Southwest Airlines hedge in crude oil. They hedged
Okay.
crude oil at like $35 out 5 years out. So while United Airlines was paying 90 and 80, they were still locked in around 35. Kind of the same thing happened in the early 80s. Bonds were wild, 10-year T-bills, they were wild. So yeah, that happens. The thing is, if they lose control of the bond market, equities equities will cave faster than you can get out. I'll just put it that way, because it's the real interest rate. And that kind of rate, I mean, look at that weekly chart. It's not.
We
I
just
mean,
I think
go ahead.
on the weekly, this is the lowest close. I mean, last week of the year, lowest close of the year. Interesting. Nothing bullish about this at all.
Interesting.
And like you said, their rates are getting cut, so this should be going the other way. Should be.
Yeah. Trade wars on the horizon. Who buys U.S. interest rate? You can study it. It's not. It's very heavy. And even today, no news. It was down almost a full handle.
To put some of these trades on. May take a little
Yeah.
longer, but I mean,
And there was last night, there was some bad buying, but look what happened. The U.S. came in. Oh, you want some 30-year bonds? We have some. Oh, what's that number there?
that white line there. Interesting.
What's the
Interesting.
10? Look at the quick, please keep that and put the 10-year up.
Full screen on these charts.
Yeah. So a lot of volatility and very heavy. Very heavy. By the way, this sets the interest rates throughout the world. It isn't like there's a lot of debt. And if I can go deeper in it, let's put it this way. It's very heavy. Um, it shows no sign of slowing down. And once again, the 30-year, the Fed cannot control interest rates at that long term. They can affect the rate on the short term, out to maybe 5-year, but 30-year, and we're seeing the results.
Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. I wonder how many traders we have in the chat that are trading the treasury products. Great markets to trade. Great markets to trade. Maybe broaden your time horizons on some of your day trades if you're going to take them, because they're not going to move as quickly. But with this downtrend that we've been seeing, really nice opportunity here as well. Anything else you
Yeah.
got, Coach? Go ahead.
By the way, this is going to affect gold. So, why? Two things with gold: you have to forego any interest. There's no interest payment to hold gold. Not only that, you have to store gold. And if you have a decent amount of gold of 50,000 or higher, and you're putting that in your bottom of your sock drawer, you might want to rethink that. So anyway, dollar looks pretty strong. It's going to be very interesting. Get ready for 2025. Let's go make some money.
1 day left in 2024 of trading. That will be on Monday, December 30th, the last trading day of the year. Because the 31st, the markets are closed for us. I'm ready, coach. I'm ready for 2025. Like we said, Monday, we're going to be doing a year review of the markets, kind of preparing for going into 2025. But we're day traders here, taking the opportunity as it presents itself in the moment, and taking advantage of those opportunities. But there is a ton of opportunity out there. And the one thing we like as traders is volatility. And it sounds like we're going to be walking into a volatile season. Just be prepared, right? Have your playbook, have setups that you have confidence in taking. And when they present themselves, take it. Dolby had asked me a question on Topstep TV yesterday, coach. When you see your setup, do you get excited or nervous? Um, and I think that's a great question for all of us to ask ourselves. And I think if you had to pick one, right? Ideally, you're just neutral, right? And you're saying, hey, I'm going to take this because it's a good setup. But if you had to pick one, I think excitement is probably the one to lean towards because you understand the opportunity. But be very conscious of that excitement. What we don't want to do is get excited and over leverage and put everything in one basket because this is a clean setup. Have your setups, um, trade them with the appropriate size so you can manage your accounts, but be ready to trade.
Great question. If on the other side of that, if you get nervous, why are you nervous? Most likely you haven't accepted the fact that you might lose money.
Yep.
And you know what? It takes money to make money, is the old saying. So you have to, you can't. If you're going to play poker or you're going to open a business, you have to be willing to lose a certain amount of money. And so, yeah. Then when you get comfortable with that, saying, you don't have to be overexcited and put 50 on, right? Once you do that, you're getting into a process. And as Coach Dakota famously says, and it's a long-term held belief, process over profit. Then you're becoming a trader. And that's all I have for today.
Thank you, Coach. Let me check my notes real quick. I'm going to send a link in the chat, and then we are going to get out of here as soon as I can find it. All right. Here we go. One link here. Going into 2025, if you want to get on Topstep TV and trade with us, I'm going to drop the link to the casting call in the chat. If you want to trade with us on Topstep TV, if you think you can help the house account make some money, you want to just talk about your trading process, fill out that form, get on Topstep TV for 2025. I'll speak for myself. It's a great experience. It kind of builds the confidence that you have in your own trading plan. Or you can come on and ask some questions, right? You might get on with, some of your favorite Topstep TV personalities and get to ask some questions that you wouldn't be able to ask otherwise. So fill that form out. And like Lioness Rain says, hit the thumbs up before we get out of here. Coach, one more day in 2024. It's been great working with you, great trading with you. We got one more left before we go. Enjoy your weekend, everyone. And we will talk to you all tomorrow.
Goodbye.